Both bills would extend for 4 more years, starting July 1st, the President's authority to induct men between the ages of 19 and 26 for 2 years of military service. But where the Senate left the President with discretionary powers in such matters as student deferments and methods of selection, the House specified what it thought should be the case. Under present law and under the Senate bill, the President could do away with student deferments. In fact, he's considering a recommendation to end student deferments after the sophomore year. But the House bill states that college students shall be deferred until they get their bachelor's degree or become 24 years old, whichever comes first. As we reported last night, more than 10,000 Americans have died in the war in Vietnam. In addition, more than 60,000 have been injured. Hal Walker has the story of one.
For most Americans, the war in Vietnam is a conflict quite removed from their daily life. But to bring it closer to home, it's only necessary to drive a short distance out 16th Street Northwest. There at Walter Reed Army Hospital, the war is only a few days or a few weeks away for many of the more than 600 casualties who are recovering from wounds received in the jungles and mountains of strange places with unpronounceable names. For the staff, too, the war is very close to home. The men arrive here at the rate of 30 a week after direct flights from Vietnam or from hospitals in Japan. Among the wounded here is a former resident of Chevy Chase, Chief Warrant Officer John Myhre. Myhre, who graduated from Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, served in Vietnam as a helicopter pilot. He survived a most harrowing experience as portrayed in sketches by staff artist Rich Lamb. On Easter Sunday, Myhre was piloting one of 10 helicopters ferrying South Vietnamese troops on a blocking operation 80 miles southwest of Saigon when it happened.
Prior to touchdown in the landing zone, my aircraft was shot down by small arms fire, and I was hit in my right leg. My crew and I abandoned the aircraft and crawled up on a dike line a few feet away. A few minutes later, a rescue aircraft set down a few yards in front of us. My crew chief grabbed me and tried to drag me into the aircraft, but we were both hit again by small arms fire and knocked down. We did finally make it into the aircraft, but as it was taking off and gaining about 50 foot in altitude, we were again shot down and the craft flipped over and caught fire. I had quite a bit of trouble getting out of it, but finally managed to and dragged myself across a rice paddy some 200 feet away in some high grass. From this point I could see the Air Force Tactical Air F-100s, Army gunships, and VNAF bombing and strafing the tree line to my right. After about an hour or so, they let up and a lull settled over the battlefield, and I could hear Vietnamese voices not too far away, followed in a few minutes by footsteps approaching me. Since I had lost my rifle in the crash, I knew my only chance of survival was to play dead. Before long, someone was kicking my head to see if I was dead, then lifted my cigarettes and a good luck charm I had out of my flak jacket, then started to take off my wedding ring off my left hand, and I realized that he couldn't have had a gun trained on me because he's using both of his hands, so I lunged at him. He immediately leaped back in surprise out of my range, and I could see right away he was a South Vietnamese soldier, the first friendly I had seen. About this time, several shots rang out in automatic fire, and the gentleman dropped dead right in front of me. A few hours later, after dark, I again heard footsteps coming up behind me. I swung the rifle around which I had taken from the dead Vietnamese and almost squeezed off a round into the man approaching me, and he said in almost perfect English, "Are you an American pilot?" And he was one of the Vietnamese we had dropped off earlier. He told me he had an American lieutenant with him, an advisor, and that they would try and get me out.
As it turned out, Chief Myhre was to remain on that battlefield through most of the night before he was picked up by an American rescue helicopter. After spending a week in a Vietnamese field hospital, he was evacuated to another hospital in Japan. Just 2 weeks ago, Myhre was reunited with his wife, Jenny, who introduced him to their 10-month-old daughter, Debbie, born while Myhre was in Vietnam. Although he is still confined to his hospital bed at Walter Reed, Myhre is already thinking about the future. Incidentally, it's Lieutenant Myhre now. Several days ago, he was awarded a direct commission, as well as the Distinguished Flying Cross and the Bronze Star. Now he says he's going to make the Army his career.
The investigation continues into a sensational murder case in nearby